In case you haven't noticed, anti-Semitism has been in the news big time. So much so that there was a lead article in the Jerusalem Post. Has anti-Semitism in the United States reached a tipping point? Israeli Jews who are concerned every day about terrorist attacks and rocket attacks are concerned about the safety of the Jews in the United States, and there is reason for concern. Last year, there were 2,700 anti-Semitic attacks in the United States. That's up 34%. New York City leads the country in attacks on Jews. New York City. And overall, the FBI points out that the Jewish community was a target of more than half of all religious bias crimes in 2021. All religious bias crimes, more than 50% were perpetrated against 3% of the population. What's going on here? Well, I'm no expert on anti-Semitism, but the Torah has a lot to say about this, especially in this week's Torah portion, something that I and every yeshiva boy learned in our youth. Yaakov and Esav, the two brothers, finally confront each other. And the Torah tells us Esav ran to greet him. He embraced him, falling on his neck. He kissed him, and they wept. Sounds good. But you should know that Rashi explains that there are dots over this word of he kissed him, which Rashi says, many say proves that the kiss was not meant sincerely, but that Esav Sonel Yisrael, that Esav hates Israel, and this is to be with us forever. It became part of us when history had us arrange Esav as representing Rome, Christianity, Yaakov representing Jew, and then there's 2,000 years of anti-Semitism. And when I'm a little yeshiva boy, and every little yeshiva boy, we're taught Esav hates the Jewish people. And it's instilled within us. I still remember as a child growing up in Borough Park, it was almost a totally Jewish community. But there was one church, and we were taught to cross the street when passing that church for fear that a nun or a priest would come out and abduct us. That's how I and many others grew up, and many are still learning that. And many claim we now have reason to say that it's true. But is it really true? Do they all hate us? I quoted in my Rosh Hashanah sermon the appointments that Joe Biden has made since he became president of the United States. Listen to the Jews who have been appointed. Ron Klain, Chief of Staff, Janet Yellen, Secretary of Treasury, Alexandra Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, Tony Blinken, Secretary of State, Merrick Brian Garland, Attorney General, Jared Bernstein, Council of Economic Advisors, Rochelle Walensky, Director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Wendy Sherman, Deputy Secretary of State, Ann Neuberger, Deputy National Security Advisor for Cybersecurity, and then there's Rachel Levine and Jennifer Klein and Jessica Rosen also, and Stephanie Pollack and Polly Trottenberg and Mira Resnick and Roberta Jacobson and Gary Gensler, Hanan Weissman, former White House liaison, Thomas Snyder, Deborah Lipstadt. They all hate us. No, my experience has shown me that what I was taught in my youth is not so. The people I met in my years of involvement at the Institute of Christian Jewish Studies, these people don't hate us. Reverend Terrace King, the Liberty Baptist Church, one of my dearest friends. He doesn't hate us. We shouldn't make the mistake. We shouldn't think that they're all out there to resent us, that it's ingrained in their very being, as Rashi explained, because you should know many of the biblical commentators didn't agree with Rashi. Yes, it's true. The verse in the Torah, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you should love your neighbor as you love yourself, is interpreted to mean to provide unconditional love to your fellow Jew. A Jew we are to love no matter what. Unconditional love, no, not for everyone. It has to be earned. But we are also taught, the Torah tells us, beloved is man who was created in the image of God. Beloved is man who was created in the image of God. Everyone, Jew and non-Jew, were equally created by God. And consequently, our sages say, with respect to the blessing that Yitzchak had given to Yaakov, they who curse you shall be cursed, and they who bless you shall be blessed. Every non-Jew who blesses Israel shall be blessed. There are plenty of them out there. Let's be concerned about those who do not wish us well. Let's embrace all those who do. Shabbat Shalom.